Hello, and welcome back to Start Adventuring, a channel dedicated to helping new role players break down their barriers and just start adventuring. I'm Ben.
And I'm Baxter. And this week we're going to be tackling the second installment of our Candlekeep Mysteries 1-on-1. The title of this is Mazfroth's Mighty Digressions. I will be DMing this week, which I'm very excited about, and Ben will be playing our player. Ben,
which I'm also very excited about.
Yeah, right? No, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about your character.
So, there in the Hero Forge window, you can see my character, Marin Crab. He is a custom lineage from Tosser's Cauldron of Everything. I imagine him to be some kind of human and goblinoid mix, although his exact sort of lineage is not 100% nailed down. But he is a wizard as well.
That's very cool. Yeah, I think that's something cool with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything with their custom heritages. So what made you decide to play that race or class combination or...
To be completely honest, I was on Hero Forge making the mini, and I came across this face shape with the, droopy ears and the big nose, and I just thought it looked cool. So I decided I'm gonna make that his face and figure it out from there.
Hey, it works. I think it's a fun character. And Wizard, anything specific to that?
Well, yeah, so this is a second-level adventure. All of the Candlekeep Mysteries, for those who are watching and aren't familiar, the first one is a first-level adventure, the second one is a second-level adventure, and on and on and on for all 17.
Right.
So this is a second-level adventure. I've always wanted to play a wizard. I feel like I always play half-caster classes. Like, I've played a paladin before, I've played a ranger before, but I've never gone full spellcaster, and wizards are just, so intimidating sometimes.
Right. And iconic, right? I mean, there's so many famous wizards when you think about, the lore behind wizards. So I think it's definitely an archetype that a lot of people... have an interest in just innately when they hear about D&D.
And it can also be one that induces a little bit of concern, right? So having it be a second-level character, I felt like, okay, if I'm gonna... this is my first character for Start Adventuring. I'm gonna make a wizard, and I'm gonna see how it goes. He's an Order of Scribes wizard, which I believe is a newer subclass, which I picked because his spellbook is awakened, so he has a sentient spellbook. Which I just thought was too cool.
Definitely not something that he's interested in giving to Candlekeep, right? As we've discussed.
No.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Maybe that's something that Candlekeep takes an interest in. We'll have to see. But let's go over.
Maybe that you got me nervous here. But,
hey, who knows? I'm just saying that's an interesting little piece of information. An awakened spellbook. It'll be fun.
I haven't quite worked out what the personality of his spellbook ought to be. I picked in the Hero Forge mini, that book with the faces in it that looks like some sort of strange demonic thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I kind of meant for it to be more fun than spooky.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. We can use our imagination. That's totally good. That's totally part of D&D.
I had actually assumed that you were going to run the spellbook, but did you want me to also roleplay the Awakened spellbook, or...
Well, I think I'll leave it up to your ultimate decision. I will say that I think, as the DM, I think it's more interesting if you, the player, are in control of it, so long as you can keep it as a kind of secondary character to...
Yeah, for
Marin.
me, the only reason why I thought maybe I would ask you to do it is that, then I'm not conversing with myself if I'm alone with the spellbook. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll say just from my prepping of this session, I don't think that you're going to have too much alone time with the spellbook.
Okay, cool. So then in that case, I'll play the spellbook. I'll figure out what the spellbook is all about.
Yeah.
I don't know what a sentient spellbook acts like.
Right. No, I think, and that's kind of the fun, right? That's kind of something you can think about and decide. But if you want me before we start the session, you can let me know, and we will put it at the beginning of the next session if anything changes and I take over the spell book. But if you want me to, absolutely I can.
No. I can run it. I wonder if you.
Is.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could talk together about. That was something that I thought maybe we could talk about during the session 0. Is like, what kind of character you think the spell book ought to be? I think
that's interesting. I'm a little less interested in the character behind the spell book and more interested in the character behind Marin.
Yeah, well, they're both characters that I'm gonna have to play. What I meant was, I have an idea of Marin, and we can talk about that. But I was hoping we could discuss some about the spellbook. But if you'd rather, just figure that out.
What do you want to discuss about the spellbook?
Just if you had any ideas about the personality of it, but I can also just make up a personality myself.
I mean, it really depends. I don't know too much about Marin, so I don't know what would play well with him. I don't know, is this been awakened by him?
Yes. So I believe that the way that it works is that there are special inks. I think that the actual text is using specially prepared inks and ancient incantations passed down by your wizardly order, you have awakened an arcane sentience within your spellbook. So that's pretty open-ended, I guess, because it's like the book could have a personality, or it could be a personality that is awakened by the spells. So it's pretty open-ended what it means, but I just kind of like the idea of... Marin is a little bit of like a ne'er-do-well, so maybe this would be helpful. Maybe we should talk about Marin, and then we can figure out stuff to do with the book from there.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better call.
Yeah. Marin has a soldier background, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah, see, like, stuff like that is important, because
But I have it in my head that he was like a failed military person, that he tried to be a soldier for a period of time, but it really didn't work out well. And so that's why he became a wizard, is he thought that he was better suited to... I had it in my head that he knew of wizards who would charge people to do things like identify magic items and stuff, and he thought that would be an easier sort of career path than his, like, failed military career. So he's a little bit of he's a new wizard. He's level 2, obviously. But I think he's in it for his own gain kind of thing. He's a little bit of I don't know how else to describe it aside from ne'er-do-well personality. But he's kind of a go-with-the-flow type guy in it for himself.
And you said Order of Scribes wizard, so that's like he writes things? What kind of things does he like to write?
Well, Order of Scribes is more about, like, spell notation. I mean, so he gets the other ability that I get at level 2 is that I can summon this quill that you can write with magically, and also you can use the quill to copy spells, because there's a whole mechanic for wizards about copying spells and stuff, you know?
Okay, yeah.
So you can copy them down faster. So I think that he just uses this scribe order as a way of learning faster, you know what I mean? I don't think he's like an author or anything like that.
So what's his end game? Like, what does he want?
To become really, really powerful and sell his services for money.
So it's financial gain that he's after.
Yeah, financial gain and just reputation and things. He's like I said, he saw a bunch of wizards who would charge people to identify magic items, and he thought, that seems like a pretty easy gig. I should figure out how to do that. Set up in some small town somewhere with a tower and be the town wizard that people go to for magical consulting. Okay. And then otherwise he can just kind of do his own thing, do experiments, hang out.
Yeah, that works for me. I mean, in terms of in terms of him. So the soldier background where it kind of worked, but it didn't work. What didn't work about it? He just wasn't into the whole warfare thing?
I picked one of the random flaws from that background. I made a terrible mistake in battle that cost many lives.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So I think that he just didn't have the discipline for it. He wasn't good at taking orders, and he wasn't good at following through on things that weren't directly exciting for him. He had like a lower sense of duty as a soldier, and maybe he's a little bit lazy. Like, I have it in my head that he's a path of least resistance type person.
Okay.
So that's what went badly. Maybe he was trusted with. I didn't do the thing where you write, a 2-page backstory.
Right. No,
I just thought
I get you. I was just trying to ascertain any details you had on the soldier background. I guess so. My in deciphering the personality of this awakened spellbook, do you think that what was his purpose for awakening it?
Well, I think that that's a good question. I didn't really think about it because I just did it because it's like, oh, he's a second level order of scribes. He has an awakened spellbook. That seems cool. Maybe he thought that by awakening the spellbook would teach him or something. But then the spellbook didn't know any spells that he hadn't written in the spellbook. So now he's just got this awakened spellbook that helps him out. Because the thing is, the awakened spellbook can be used as a spell casting focus.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's his purpose for having it, is that he uses it to cast the spells. But if I'm thinking about my vision for Marin, I think he probably awakened it because he thought it was going to teach him stuff and it was going to make his life easier and faster. And now he's just got a spell book he has to take care of and talk to.
Okay, I mean that works. So in terms of the personality, based on that, I think it would probably have like a, the dude from the Big Lebowski kind of personality.
You think the book would?
If you're saying the book was unhelpful, had no new spells, and he was thinking it was going to be like super helpful to him, sure. I mean, the other...
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I had it in my head that it would be like this, arcane, because it's an arcane sentience, but I think it's funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, the other side of the coin is you could have it be that it's the devil on his shoulder saying you need to get more power, while he's kind of just path of least resistance.
That's the thought that I had originally, but I kind of like your idea better. I think I'm going to play with the he is actually, so he has in the past been this like lazy person. He hasn't been able to get things done, but now he's legitimately interested in furthering his wizardly studies, and he's got this awakened spell book that is like, I don't know, man, I've got the books you gave me, like, maybe I kind of like the idea that the book is the, like you said, because I had an idea of Marin being kind of like the Big Lebowski energy. But I kind of like the idea that now he is really interested. I mean, because he's going to Candlekeep for some reason, right? Which I had assumed it would be something to do with furthering his studies. I don't know if the adventure...
I'll leave that up to... Yeah, there's no specific reason that you're coming into Candlekeep in this adventure. Only that you are arriving at Candlekeep. And specifically, you and I have discussed this offline, but specifically, you are going to be coming without a book to...
Yeah, that's not hard for me to wrap my head around because I think Marin would pretty easily not realize he's supposed to bring one or forget.
Or think that he could just show his magic book. And
yeah, like, I got a magic spell book. Let me in.
I got a book.
Well, because the other thing, too, is he can recreate the magic book with a rest. basically, if you lose your awakened spell book as a Order of Scribes wizard, if you spend some time, you can recover your book. So maybe he thinks he's going to show them the book, and they're going to be like, "Great."
And he's gonna recover it.
And then he's, or even, if they took it, he could just recover it. But maybe they don't want the book.
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
we'll have to see how that plays out at the gate. But I'm sure you might be able to pass it off to see if you can get in. But
I think maybe that's his plan. I think maybe his plan is to hand off the book and then just redo it later. I like the idea that maybe he's coming to Candlekeep to try to fix the book or something. To try to get information on how to change the personality of the book or make the book smarter or something.
No, totally. This is good. This actually will fit right into some. Well, I mean, not right into some of the story, but this actually is good for story development stuff.
Great. So maybe we'll say that's canon then. Or that'll be what I'm working with.
He's going to Candlekeep to see if he can expound upon the knowledge that the book has, because he's kind of not super stoked.
He's disappointed with it.
He's
disappointed with it. He learned how to make an awakened book, and it's not even even doing what it's supposed to.
It's the Marin of awakened books.
Right. He's dealing with somebody who's like how he is, and maybe he's not liking it so much anymore. But I'm excited about him. I never play. So another part of this is that I just never play non-humans. All of my characters have been humans or variant humans, and he's not that far off, but it's a step in the direction.
It's fun. It's always you know me. I've always been one in games. I always like to play different races. In Dungeons and Dragons, I tend to play a lot of dwarfs or halflings, more halflings than anything else. That's just something that I tend to gravitate towards. But I think it's fun to be able to play with the different races, different kind of mishmashes with the different subclasses. There's a whole
and like we've said before, doing these one shots with Candlekeep, it's a good opportunity to do that. Yeah. So this is me dipping my toe in the water, and we'll see what kinds of crazy characters. I do think I want to get weird sounds wrong, but I want to
No, I mean only if you take it.
I want to step away from my usual tendencies and try to just expand my horizons by jumping into it, making something that maybe I wouldn't have made otherwise. Not that Marin is particularly out there, but it's a start, Hey,
it's baby steps, and it's also, it doesn't have to be. You can come in and play a person that is exactly like you, but a knight, but a wizard, but that's totally an okay option especially if you're new to Dungeons and Dragons, and creating a character is something that is out of your comfort zone. The fact that you're even taking steps is great. That's your.
At the end of the day, even the most not like you character is still going to be a part of you because it comes out of your decision making as the character, right?
Right.
So there's no good or bad picks in terms of is the character like you or not like you, because they're not going to be like you. They're in a fantasy world doing magic or something,
but it is, like I said, it's one of those things where I think a lot of times, especially people that are new or on the fringe ends of D&D, I think there is a whole community around characters and cosplay and all of this, and don't get me wrong, all of that is very cool and great in its own respect, but I think to some people, when they see that, it can seem, like well, I don't know if I'm all the way there yet. And I think, D&D can be played with, some pencils and paper, and as long as you got a D20 and, couple, the other die that are needed.
You do need some other dice.
You do need some other die. Fair. But
I mean, if you use D&D Beyond, I guess
the virtual die roller.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the number of sword guys I've made in games beyond just D&D in my life. I mean, I am one who stays in my comfort zone, and I've still had a lot of fun making characters and discovering things.
Right.
But we'll see with Marin. I mean, I like him. I'm excited about him.
Yeah, no, totally fun. I'm excited too. We got, we put out our weekend review video. If you guys haven't seen that, you can check that out, and we kind of go over our thoughts and feelings about the videos that we put out on last Saturday. For the week one, and this week, we had a little bit more time to prep, and we're both excited. But I specifically am excited to DM this one and really see how it turns out. There's a lot of kind of cool adventure elements. Definitely, I did some augmenting. That was something that we all talked about from last week. That was something that kind of stuck out that we felt needed more work is a little bit more augmenting of the story so that there's, a little bit more interaction with one-on-one opposed to more, scene description. But other than that, I'm really just excited to get it going.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, is there anything that I need to know about, like, any circumstances I mean, aside from I didn't bring a book, right? That's the only thing I really need to keep in mind.
That's the only jumping off point that you
Cool.
really need. Yeah. And if we want to say canonically that his plan is to just, it's not so much that you don't have a book, it's that
Oh, right. Yeah. He's gonna hand off the book,
sketchy.
and then
it might not be accepted.
Right. Yeah, we'll go with that. I'll say that that's the working plan from Marin.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm excited.
Did you want to go over stats at all? I know it's it's been up there. It's 0 strength, 1 dex.
Yeah, the only thing about this that's interesting, I took my -1 because I'm using standard array, so I have to have 1/8. I put it in wisdom, which perception is a wisdom skill. Insight is a wisdom skill. There's a lot of skill checks that I'm potentially putting myself at a disadvantage with. But I thought he's not a very wise person. He's actually very intelligent. He's well read. He thinks he knows a lot. But in practice, he's just not.
Right.
And his charisma.
+1. So.
Yeah, his charisma's +1. He's getting by on his know-how and the fact that he's sort of likable, but he's not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to people smarts and street smarts and doing the things he's supposed to do, social cues wise.
That's okay.
So there are role play thoughts
there,
behind the stat picks. Although I put a bunch of points into intelligence so I could do big strong spells.
No, I think it's actually really interesting and in a fun point and something that we didn't quite touch on in our last session 0 video. But when role playing, for new role players, if you're having a hard time deciding how your character would act in a certain situation and you just can't get in that headspace, I mean, you don't have to roleplay your character based on the stats, but if you really want to and you just don't have an answer, you can just look at the stats and say, okay, well, I'm trying to, make an intelligent decision, or I'm trying to be wise about something, or, whatever that, insert specific stat here and roll for it. Just to yourself if you want, or, play it out based on just the modifier. And again, that's not a thing that you have to do, but that's something that if you're new to role playing and you're stuck, hey, try that out. See how you like doing that, and that way it kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off of you as the player to make up the decision so specifically, and allows you to say, okay, this is what you're doing. How does the character do that?
Yeah, I've even heard of people straight up rolling the ability scores sequentially. Right, so instead of rolling your ability scores and assigning them, I've heard people, the first thing you roll is your strength. The second thing you roll is, and you discover the character that way. I think it's Matt Colville on YouTube who I've heard talk about that, but there are other people I know who do that as well. But you're exactly right. I mean, the ability scores can tell you something about who the character is and what they're good at, what they might do in a situation, what kind of things they rely on. And I think that's true with Marin for sure.
Awesome. Wow. Well, Ben, I'm very excited for this. Is there anything else, any questions you have for me before we kind of jump off and get ready to get into that live play?
I'm excited to meet Marin's book. I gotta come up with.
Does it have a name? The book?
Agathor.
I
just made that up.
Okay.
Is that from something? That feels like it's from something, but I.
You know what? Yeah, I don't know. We'll Google it just to be sure we're not going to get any cease and desist for the book. But I mean, a name's a name. I don't know if you.
Yeah,
can...
we may add a letter at the beginning, so we may get to the live play, and I've got a book called Tagathor or Bagathor. Well, that's all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this session 0, make sure to like the video down below and tell us in the comment section. What kind of custom lineages have you all made with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything? Any half hobgoblins out there? How would you describe Marin's lineage? Yeah. And if you're enjoying what you see in the channel and you want to follow along for the rest of this Candlekeep experiment, please subscribe and make sure you hit the bell so that you get notified when we release new videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah, totally. And if you guys want to go that extra mile, we do have a Patreon, link in the description box below. For as little as $1 a month, you can help this channel grow and develop. For $1, we'll put your name in the credits, and for $5, you'll get access to a new video every week. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check it out. But otherwise, I'm excited to see Marin play and my first time DMing. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and click on over to that video and see how it all goes. But otherwise, I'm Baxter.
And I'm Ben.
And remember, start adventuring.
Just start adventuring.